Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Alice. I go by Hello Alice here on YouTube and I make art videos. And I'm back today with another video for the YouTube Artist Collective. If you don't know what the YouTube Artist Collective is, it is a group of us artists here on YouTube, and we all kind of there's like a Facebook page, and viewers will make suggestions and we all make a piece of artwork based around the theme. And so the theme for this time around was cards of all fables, fortunes, and fates. So I am doing a piece that is inspired by the Queen of Hearts, and I will talk a little bit more about the piece later on, but I want to talk dive right into the topic at hand. And what I want to talk about is inspired by this quote that I saw on Pinterest. Well, it's inspired by two things. So the first is this quote, and the quote says, "Friendly reminder that doing your best does not mean working yourself to the point of a mental breakdown." So this video topic is inspired by that quote and the fact that during the creation of this video, I have cried about 4 times, one of which involved me sitting on the floor in my art room, eating lasagna and crying. It was not a fun time. 1 out of 10 would not recommend. The 1 point is because the lasagna was pretty delicious and it turned out I was just kind of hangry. But what I want to talk about is this idea that you need to be pushing yourself to the limits in order to be the best that you can be. And that if you're not pushing yourself to your absolute limits 100% of the time, that you're not doing your best. And I've titled this video, "Your Work Will Suffer Unless You Do This," because if you continue to push yourself to the point of a mental breakdown, then your work will suffer and you will not be able to produce artwork at all. You will completely have you'll completely burn out, you'll completely break down, and you will not be able to create artwork at all. And that almost happened to me. I had a completely different idea in mind for this painting. It was going to be acrylic and a lot more detailed, more of a realistic image. I had reference images and I had just been trying to work on it for about a week and a half, and I was really, really struggling. I was feeling really blocked. I was feeling very, very stressed out. I was feeling very pressured, both with my channel and with stuff that's going on in my personal life and at work and all of this other stuff. And I was just, honestly, a lot of stuff was going on, but I looked at myself and I was like, you're being lazy. Like, you're a lazy artist. You're a bad artist. Look at everyone else. They're able to handle this. They're not stressed out. They're not freaking out. They can do this. Why can't you do this? You must just be lazy. And I was really upset, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Like, I was just like, oh, is it my ADHD? And then I was like, oh no, you blame everything on your ADHD. Stop blaming like your mental illnesses and this and that, and you're making excuses. And it was just being very, very harsh on myself and very, very hard on myself. And I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to. It is very easy to sit here and give advice to you guys, and I'm sure it's very easy for you guys to sit and give advice to your friends and tell your friends to be kind to themselves. But when it comes to actually being kind to yourself, that's something that I think a lot of us struggle with. I know it's something that I struggle with. I can sit here all day and tell you to be kind to yourself and then not apply that advice to myself. And it took crying on the floor, eating lasagna, and messaging Monique Renee at I don't even know what time it was in Boston, and just being like, I can't do this. Like, I think, I want to quit YouTube. Like, I want to quit this. Like, I can't do it. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not doing my best. I'm a terrible artist. I'm this and that. And it took being at that really low point to realize, and then seeing that quote, ironically, the day after, to realize that I wasn't being fair to myself and I wasn't being kind to myself, and I was imposing some really unrealistic expectations. I was thinking that every single piece that I made, especially for the YouTube Artist Collective, had to be this amazing, perfect, huge piece, that everything had to be, everything that I created had to be perfect, and that's just ridiculously unrealistic. Not every piece of artwork that you create is going to be perfect, and it's okay to experiment and to get out of your comfort zone. And one of the big things that I took from this is don't make your life harder. If you are starting to approach burnout like I was, if you are feeling stressed and feeling frustrated, reevaluate what you're doing. I had to reevaluate my piece and my idea and realize that I was not going to get my original idea done in the time that I had. It wasn't going to happen. It was an unrealistic expectation that I'd set for myself. And at that point, I didn't have the time to complete what I wanted to complete to the level that I wanted to complete it. So I changed my idea and I came up with a different concept that was a little bit more simple and would be faster and easier to execute, but was also something that I could kind of channel some of my anger and my frustration into, and was something different and something that was going to kind of give me like a little bit of a different, like a change, because that's really good as well. And really, the reason that I wanted to talk about this in this video is that it is so easy for all of us to sit there and give advice, but it is very, very hard to actually take that advice. And I really want you guys to know that, like, you haven't failed if you have to lower your expectations. You haven't failed if not every piece of artwork you create is perfect. If you have to put in 75% because that's all that you can give at that moment in time, that is okay. And it is okay that you did that. You're a human being and life happens. And yes, if you want to be a professional artist, it's hard and you have to force yourself to work and you have to do this and that, but don't make things harder on yourself than you have to. When I was an RA, I had my resident advisor, who was kind of like in charge of all the RAs. He told me something that I will never, ever, ever forget, because I think it is potentially one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given. And he said, you are an RA third, you are a student second, and you are a person first. And I believe that can be applied to all aspects of our life. You are an artist second, you are a student second. The most important thing is that you are a person first, and your health is the most important thing that you have. You cannot create art if you are burning yourself out to the point where you are like on the floor crying and eating lasagna. You cannot create art if you are making yourself physically ill, if you're not eating because you feel like you don't have time. Like if you're a college student, I know a lot of you have been there. Oh, I just don't have time to eat. No, you have time to eat. You don't have time to not eat. Like, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to lower your expectations sometimes, because if you don't learn how to manage your expectations and how to set realistic deadlines and how to realize when something isn't realistic, how to reevaluate that and how to problem solve and how to create something that maybe is more realistic, then you will not be able to be successful as an artist, because you will burn out. And I don't care who you are, everyone gets tired. You're not a superhuman. You might think that you are, but you're not. And this is coming from somebody who has burnt out multiple times in her life, who this entire video has been extraordinarily stressful to make. Like, everything has gone wrong with it. I've broken down multiple times. And someone who's trying to finally listen to the advice that I'm giving you guys, because it's one thing for me to sit here and tell you, it's another thing for me to lead by example. And that's why I changed my idea, and that's why I did something a little bit different, because I knew that it would be easier for me to accomplish in the time that I had, and I knew it was a more realistic expectation of myself. So I know this was kind of a weird video topic and it was a little bit rambly, but I really hope that maybe it spoke to some of you or helped some of you out, especially if you're students or if you are like me and you put way more pressure on yourself than you really need to. I always feel the need and the desire to be perfect all the time, but humans aren't perfect. We are all flawed individuals, and that's what makes humanity beautiful. So embrace your flaws. It's okay not to be perfect. Readjust your expectations, and most importantly, take care of yourself, because you are special and important, and you need to take care of yourself. I want you to take care of yourself. So that is all I have to say about that topic. I don't have too much time left in the video, but I will very briefly talk about the piece. I wanted to create something that was based on the Queen of Hearts, because I was named after Alice in Wonderland, so I've always kind of had Queen of the Hearts, you know, and I had this idea of this woman that had never known love before, and she didn't understand love, so she would cut out the hearts. She would have people fall in love with her, and then she would cut out their hearts, and she would try to study their hearts, like their anatomical hearts, to try to understand love, which obviously didn't work, because everyone that would ever fall in love with her would then be killed by her. I know this is a lot more dark than what I normally do on my channel, but as I said, I've been kind of a weird place recently, and maybe sometimes art can be an outlet, so I think maybe that kind of spurred some of my decisions in making art that was maybe a little bit darker than what I normally do. So sometimes it's good to kind of just go out of your comfort zone. And I did that with this style as well. Like I said, I was managing my expectations and trying to do something that was going to be less complex, but still really interesting. So I went with a style that was a lot more graphical inspired this time, with very simple colors. And I used real playing cards and cut them up and stuck them in the background for added dimensionality and texture. And then I kept everything else really simple other than the heart, which I did was like an anatomical heart, and I did that with watercolor pencil and colored pencils, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Actually, I think it came out really cool, and it was really fun to do something that was so different than what I normally do, and I'm proud of myself for getting out of my comfort zone and trying something new. Even though it was a result of a very stressful situation, I think it was a good decision. So sometimes those stressful situations can create really great things. So this is my piece for the YouTube Artist Collective. If you haven't, make sure you check out everybody else in the collective. I've linked all of their channels down below. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I do put out new videos every single Friday. Come join the Wonderland Founds Day. We would be happy to have ya. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day. Bye guys!